Well, hello everyone. Hope you all are having a good night, or if you see this during the day, having a good day. um, for those of you that know that I've been ill over the past 10 or so days, still not doing all that great. I got more blood work to do tomorrow. They've been sticking me left and right to figure out what's wrong with me. But tonight I had a little energy. I'm not feeling too bad right now, so I figured there's a video that I've been wanting to do, and I figured tonight would be a good night to do it. So let me fill you in on the little details of what this is all about. Over the past year or so, this Berenstain Bears deal, there's something that I noticed, and that is people are speaking about it. They're doing videos on it. And in their videos, they're talking, and they show Berenstein. And when they pronounce it, they're like the Bernstein Bears. And that's what I remember. I remember Bernstein Bears, Bernstein Bears. I mean, I'm 1,000,000,000% positive that is what it was. I'm dead certain on that. But everybody's like the Berenstain. And I'm like, what's this Baron deal, But I'm like, well, maybe I'm just not remember. But I knew I had the Steen right. Well, there's another YouTuber that he has a website where people can go on, and the way the website works, I won't get into all the technical details, but you can go on there as anonymous, and there's no way to track where you're even from, so that you can stay anonymous. And uh, what do you call them? When someone tells on a company, I forgot, I'm brain farting on it. But where people can get on there and they can speak about stuff and yet be anonymous, okay? And that was the deal. Well, this YouTuber came out with a video, and he was showing this channel, and it's a live chat, where someone will come on and they'll speak about a topic, and then people can constantly ask him questions. Well, he had a guy that was on there about 2 weeks ago, and he was saying that he was a scientist that worked for a company, and he couldn't say who. He said, but no one would believe him. And he was explaining that he is outside the matrix, but through the way the computers work, these scientists can interact with the matrix. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about. What he was saying was, in 2012, there was an Ellie, an extinction level event that occurred. He's saying, and the world was destroyed in 2012. And what we're living in is a digital recreation, continuing the human race digitally while they do what they can to save the human race. Now, I'm not saying he's right. I have big doubts about a lot of the things that he said. That's not what this is about. But here's the deal. When they were asking him questions, and he was saying that uh, uh, the first version that came out, he said, for example, he said, we came out and the first version was based upon the reality of all the data that they had inputted, and that the first version was Bernstein, Berstein. He said, and then when they did the update into the second version, it was changed to Berenstein, Berenstein. He said, and then they did the next upload for version 3, and then it was Berenstain. Okay, so there's your Bernstein, Berenstain, Bernstein. Okay, now I'm not saying that man's right. I have with the I won't get into the rest of the discussions, but I got a lot of problems. His story has a lot of holes. But the deal was this: he brought up Bernstein, and that's what I remembered. And then watching all these YouTube videos and watching these different videos, even on Facebook and other channels or other websites, let me say, and they're showing the spelling Berenstein, and these people are saying Bernstein, and I'm going, and then a little light bulb came on, and there was a study that I knew I had to do. Now here's the deal. I've heard Berenstein. I've heard Berenstain. I've heard Bernstein. But I have never heard Bernstein. And the more I thought about it, I realized something. Number one, if this is time travel, where someone is going back in time, or a company or an entity, let's say, hypothetically, let's say CERN has the ability to actually physically send people back in time to change history. Here's the deal. In this poll that I created, and it said, what do you remember? And I had comments shut off so no one could put down their comment on what they remembered, just only select their answer. And I also had it set up that you could only vote once, okay? Now, what I'm saying is, if it was time travel and they went back in time and changed something, what happens is they change it, and then every point forward beyond that, everything changes, which means the current version, which all the books are showing and what history says it always was, is Berenstain, then 100% of the people would answer Berenstain, because that is the only thing they would know. There would be no reflection as to any residual Berensteins, no residual Bernsteins, no residual Bernstains. There would be no people remembering it being something else, because if they went back in history, physically went back and literally changed it, everything point forward from that point would have changed, and everything you would have remembered or encountered, 100% of the people would have said Berenstain. The next option is, this is all misremembering. We're misremembering what it actually was. Now, here's the point. If it is a mismemory, what's going to happen with those 4 choices is this. You're going to have one choice that is going to be the dominant. There's going to be the most there. But of the other 3 choices that are left, you're going to be guaranteed there are going to be votes for every single one. Okay? That's just the way it works. There's no way that none of them are going to have 0 votes. If it's mismemory, it's going to go across the board, and it's going to be basically a graph where you're going to have one that's the highest, and then it's going to drop down. It's going to kind of float down like this, but all 4 choices are going to have votes. The third option is, this is a quantum effect / Mandela effect, whatever you choose to use. I prefer the term quantum effect because it relates to what's causing it, not relating it to one of the symptoms, which is Nelson Mandela. But if it's a Mandela effect, Berenstain, and Bernstein are the three that people are reporting. I have yet to see a report for Bernstein. Now, if this is the Mandela quantum effect, you're going to get the same thing in a graph. You're going to get one that's going to have the majority of the votes, and then the graph will drastically drop off, drastically drop down, and then the control, which is Bernstein. What I mean by control is it's the one choice that is predicted 0 votes will get. Okay, that's why it's the control. So I put this poll out, and I did multiple polls across several different closed groups, and I asked people, please only vote in one of the polls, and I had one guy that voted in every one of them, so I kind of subtracted his vote out off of the polls, except for one. Then I did a Facebook poll, and then I had another friend do a Facebook poll for you. Now I'm going to bring up the different polls so that you can physically see these polls as they were done. They're a week and a half, almost 2 weeks old. And then I'm going to show you the numbers that I tallied up with. Okay, so let me bring up these polls to start with. Okay, before I do that, I wanted to insert this real quick so you understand. My prediction that I made prior to starting this, and Sharon Rice, who is my main administrator in the closed group that I created, the Quantum Effects Concerning the Scriptures. She's the one that did the one poll for me, and and I told her straight out what my prediction was. So I have witness to that, and if you want to join our site, you can ask her. But here's what I said. I said that what I predicted was at the highest, the number one vote getter was going to be Bernstein. Then there was going to be a drastic drop down where you would get to Bernstein. Then there would be another drop down to Berenstain, and then Bernstein would get 0 votes. That is what I predicted was going to happen. With that said, let me show you the results. Okay, this is the poll that she put out. Okay, now the number one go-getter was Berenstein with 51 votes. The second one was Bernstein with 12 votes, Berenstain with 5, Bernstein with 0. The poll that I did from Facebook, which I should have used hers because it was a better one, but the results I got was Berenstein 25 votes, Bernstein 10 votes, Berenstain 2, Bernstein 0. Now the poll from Facebook over here at this group. Okay, Berenstein 21 votes, Bernstein 2 votes, that's supposed to say Bernstein. I don't know why. I'll take that off because that's not supposed to be in there. Okay, but Bernstein 0 votes. The next one, Berenstein, 18 votes, actually 17, because this guy right here is the one that voted multiple times. And I asked that you only vote once, but you know, no big deal. So that number says 18. I'll drop it to 17. Berenstain 1, Bernstein none, Bernstein none. The next one, Berenstain 1, Bernstein 1, Berenstein 0, Bernstein 0. The next one, Berenstein says 15. There he is again. We'll drop it to 14. Sorry, Aaron, didn't mean to pop you out. Berenstain, 1. Bernstein, 1. Bernstein, 1, excuse me. Bernstein, 0. The next one. Berenstein, 24 minus him, 23. Berenstain, 1. Bernstein, none. Bernstein, none. The last one. Berenstein, 104. Bernstein, 4. Berenstain, 1. Bernstein, 0. So you've seen the polls. Now, let me bring up the results. All right. Here are the results. Berenstein bears 258 votes. Bernstein bears 30 votes. Berenstain bears 13 votes. Oops. Bernstein bears 0 votes. So, okay, in graph format, Berenstein bears 258 votes. 85.7% of the people selected Berenstein. The steep drop-off. Bernstein, 30 people. That was 10% of the people selected Bernstein. That cuts in half again, more than half. 13 people said Berenstain. That is 4.3. And the big deal, it drops down to 0. Of 301 people that voted, 0 people voted for Bernstein. Now, if this was time travel, then it wouldn't be 258 people Bernstein. It would have been 301 people Berenstain. If this was mismemory, this number would not have been that high. It still would have been up there. That would have been the choice. This may have been where it's at. It would have fluctuated. This may have been where it's at, may have fluctuated. This absolutely would not have happened. There would be some people that would have voted for remembering Bernstein, but they didn't. Now, as a Mandela effect, a quantum effect, the vast majority remember Berenstein. There is a percentage that remembers the next larger. As I said it would. I said Berenstein would be the highest. Then there would be a drastic drop to Bernstein. Then there would be another drastic drop, which it doesn't seem that much in the graph because these are spread out so far. But more than half of a drop, 50% more than that, 10% to 4.3. So 13 to Berenstain and 0 for Bernstein. As I predicted, the control, Bernstein would get 0 votes if this was a quantum, a Mandela effect. Now, there are going to be those out of you that are going to argue this, and they're going to debate me, and you're going to probably put all kinds of comments. I'll get thumbs. That happens on every YouTuber has your trolls. Every YouTuber has your people that they gotta argue the point. I understand it. That's cool. But the point is, I laid the information out for you. I even put it in graph format. What you do with that information is your choice. Think about this. Peace out, people.